All right, so ready to dive into the world of engine design.
Yeah, especially how to totally nail that interview and land the job.
You got it. We're talking dream job territory here, right?
Big time.
And with RoleCatcher, we've got all the intel to help you prepare. We're talking career guides, interview guides, the whole 9 yards.
It's a whole package deal. We're going to cover all of that. Like what's going on in the field right now.
Right. But also, we're going to dig into those interview questions. What are they really looking for?
Exactly. And how can you use your answers to really impress?
Because it's one thing to just answer a question, it's another to really wow them.
Right. And RoleCatcher, they actually lay out 8 key questions that come up all the time. We're going to break down each one, how to approach it, and what those hiring managers are really looking for.
Perfect. Let's jump right in then. A classic entry-level question. You're pretty much guaranteed to get this one. What inspired you to become an engine designer?
It seems simple, right?
Yeah.
But this is your chance to stand out.
Make a good first impression.
Exactly, because it's not just about saying, oh, I'm interested in engines. It's about showing a real passion.
Yeah, because everyone can say they're interested.
Exactly.
But how do you do that? What would you say to really make that answer shine?
So think back to a moment, a story even, that sparked that interest.
Oh, okay.
Was it, building model engines as a kid?
Yeah.
Taking apart that lawnmower? Or, that aha moment when you realized how it all worked together, those parts, to create power?
Yeah. I like that. Tell a story.
Yeah.
Way more engaging than just saying, I've always liked engines.
Exactly. It doesn't have to be something huge, dramatic even.
No, it can be small.
It could be as simple as looking at a car engine and just being like, whoa, this is amazing.
Right.
Make it personal, and connect it to your journey.
Yeah, because everyone has a story.
Everyone does.
So you've got that initial spark, but then how do you connect that back to the job itself, to the company?
That's where the research comes in.
Yes. The dreaded research.
Right. But it's not that bad.
No, it's important.
It is. Research the company, their products, their values, and find those areas where your passion and their work, they line up.
Yeah, perfect example. If they're all about sustainable engine technology, and that's something you're passionate about, boom, make that connection.
Yeah. You could even say something like, ever since I was a kid, I've just been fascinated by how things work, especially engines. But as I learned more, I realized I'm really passionate about making those engines more efficient, more sustainable. And that's why I'm so excited about the work your company is doing.
Right, because that shows you're not just applying to any engine design job. You're really interested in them.
Exactly. And don't be surprised if they follow up with something like, well, what are some of the advancements in sustainable engine tech that you're particularly interested in?
Ooh, that's a good follow-up question.
Right. So this is where, knowing a little bit about hydrogen fuel cells, alternative fuels, those advanced combustion systems.
Yeah, be ready for that one. So this is a perfect moment to bring up how RoleCatcher can help, because their career guides, they go deep into those industry trends.
They do, and they can actually help you tailor your answers specifically to the company and that job description. It's amazing.
It is. Okay, let's move on to a question that might pop up more for mid-level candidates. So something like, how do you approach the design process for an engine?
Okay, now this is where you prove you're not just a gearhead, right?
Right. You're not just tinkering.
Exactly.
You're the real deal.
You've got that analytical mind.
So walk them through your process. Don't be afraid to get a little technical here.
Yeah.
So what are some of those key steps that you want to highlight?
Well, first, research, right? Understanding those specific requirements for the engine, like what's it going to be used for? What kind of performance are we talking about? What are the limitations?
Like, because you're not designing in a vacuum, are you?
No.
There's always parameters.
Yeah. Exactly. And then you move into analysis, right? So exploring different design concepts, thinking about the trade-offs of each approach.
Because there's always a balance, isn't there?
Always.
Between like performance, efficiency, cost, and so many other things.
Always. And don't forget about the simulations and modeling.
Oh, that's right.
Because today's engine designers, they're using really sophisticated software to test things out virtually before building anything.
Yeah. So that's where CAD software comes in, right? Can you explain that a little bit?
Oh, yeah. So CAD stands for Computer-Aided Design. And it's basically a set of software tools that lets engineers create these super detailed 3D models of their designs. It's like essential for everything, visualizing the engine, analyzing its performance, even making those blueprints for manufacturing.
So you definitely want to mention your CAD skill.
Absolutely. And don't just name drop the software. Give them a specific example, something you've worked on, a problem you solved, a design you optimized.
Right, like show them what you can actually do with it.
Exactly. Like maybe you use it to simulate the airflow through the engine or, to check the stress points on a certain part.
Yeah, okay. So what kind of follow-up questions could they ask about your design process after you've kind of given them that overview?
Well, they might ask you to dive deeper into a specific stage.
Oh, okay.
So, for example, tell me more about how you use simulation data to really back up those design choices.
Oh, that's good.
Or they might say, describe a time when you had to, completely rethink your initial design because of testing or feedback.
Ooh,
A
curveball.
little bit of a curveball, yeah.
So you got to be ready to go beyond just that surface level.
Absolutely.
Show them you know what you're doing.
And this is another area where RoleCatcher's AI can be a huge help because you can use it to practice those answers, get feedback on how you're pacing yourself, how clear you are, and even figure out any areas where you might need to brush up on the technical stuff.
It's like having your own virtual interview coach.
It really.
Okay, let's move on to another question. This one gets to the heart of good engine design, I think. How do you ensure your designs are both reliable and efficient?
Okay, this is where things get interesting.
It's a tough one.
It is. Because it's not enough to know how an engine works, right?
Right.
You got to prove you can design one that's going to last, that can handle the real world,
Yep.
and at the same time, get the most out of it.
Squeeze every ounce of performance.
Yeah.
That's the dream, right?
That's the goal.
Reliable and efficient.
Exactly.
It's what every engineer is striving for.
So to answer this well, you really need to show you get those engineering principles, the deep stuff.
Okay, give me an example.
So think material selection, right? Picking the right metals, alloys, composites, stuff that can handle the stress, the heat, the wear and tear.
Yeah, it's got to be tough.
And then, of course, testing.
Oh, yeah, that's a big one.
Simulations, real-world trials, the whole shebang.
Heck, it's got to work in the lab, Andy, on the road.
Exactly.
Or wherever it's going.
Mention specific tests that you've done.
But
Things like stress tests, endurance tests, thermal analysis. Prove you don't just design on paper.
yeah, you got to back it up.
You validate it with data.
So you could say something like, let's say, I always make sure to research the latest materials and manufacturing techniques. Then I use simulation software to analyze those stress points, figure out the best way to distribute the materials, and predict any potential issues.
Yeah,
But it's the real-world testing that really proves the design.
right.
Something like, I've been part of some intense engine trials, analyzing data from temperature sensors, vibration sensors, even looking at the wear patterns on the parts to see where things can be improved.
Perfect. You're hitting all the points. You're showing them you understand theory A&D practice.
Right.
Oh, and don't forget regulations and standards.
Yes. Can't forget about those.
Because engines can't just perform well in a bubble, right?
Right.
They got to meet emission standards, safety standards, all those real-world requirements.
It's going to be legal.
Exactly. So mentioning that you're familiar with all those standards, it shows you're thinking big picture.
Okay. So what kind of follow-up questions could they ask about this, once you've talked about reliability and efficiency?
Well, they might get specific about a challenge you faced. Something like, tell me about a time you had to balance reliability with costs.
Oh, yeah.
Or describe how you used feedback from testing to make a design more efficient.
Ooh, good ones.
Yeah, those are good. They're really digging into your experience there, how you problem solve.
Exactly. And again, this is where RoleCatcher's AI comes in handy, right?
Absolutely. It can analyze the job description and suggest some keywords or skills that you can weave into your answer
Okay.
to make it even more tailored to what they're looking for.
It's like it's reading their minds.
A little bit.
Okay, let's move on to a question that really shows how much engineering is always changing.
Okay.
Something like, how do you stay up to date with the latest trends and technologies in engine design?
Because no one wants an engineer who's stuck in the past.
No.
Got to keep learning.
You got to be on the cutting edge.
Exactly.
So how do you answer that without just, listing off a bunch of journals you read?
Give them specific examples. Talk about a specific technology or a trend that you've been following.
Oh,
Like maybe something like additive manufacturing, 3D printing for engine parts, or how AI is being used to make combustion more efficient.
that's interesting.
Yeah. Tell them how you've actually used that knowledge, even if you're just exploring it.
Yeah, because it shows you're not just reading about it, you're actually thinking about how to use it.
Exactly.
Okay.
You could say, I'm part of the Society of Automotive Engineers, and I go to their conferences, webinars, all that, to stay in the loop. And lately, I've been really digging into 3D printing, how it can be used to create these really complex shapes and engines, things that would have been impossible before.
Wow.
And right now, I'm actually looking at how to use that technology to boost efficiency in this small engine design I'm working on.
That's a great answer.
Right.
You've shown them you take initiative. You're eager to learn.
And you can connect new tech to real problems.
Okay, let's talk about problem solving. RoleCatcher has this question. Describe a time you had to troubleshoot and solve a complex engine design problem.
Oh, yeah.
Because every engineer runs into roadblocks, right?
Yes.
This is your chance to show that you don't just give up, you figure it out.
You find a way.
Exactly.
This is where the STAR method is really useful. Think about a specific situation, what you were supposed to do, the actions you took, and the results you got.
Okay.
Don't be afraid to get into the details. They want to see how you think.
Okay, walk me through it.
Right.
Let's say you're working on a prototype, and during testing, boom, unexpected vibrations at high RPMs.
Okay, great scenario. So here's how you could approach it. We were testing this high-performance engine prototype, and all of a sudden we started getting these crazy vibrations at high RPMs. So the first thing I did was try to figure out where it was coming from. We used vibration sensors and did some spectral analysis, and it turned out to be a resonance issue in the exhaust manifold.
Okay.
So then I led this team, and we looked at a bunch of different solutions, changing the manifold geometry, adding some dampening materials, tweaking the engine mounts, and by combining a few of those approaches, we were able to get rid of those vibrations, and the engine could run smoothly at high speeds without any issues.
Okay, so you laid out the problem, how you analyzed it, the steps you took, and the solution. Concise, technical, and it shows that you can think on your feet.
Exactly. And notice I didn't just say we fixed it. I mentioned the tools and techniques, the vibration sensors, the spectral analysis. That's the kind of stuff that shows your expertise.
It's the details, right?
It's the details.
Okay, now for a question that really highlights how much teamwork is involved in engine design. Something like, how do you collaborate with other engineers and stakeholders throughout the design process?
Yeah, engine design, it's not a solo act.
No.
You got to be a team player.
Exactly.
This question is all about showing you can work well with others.
So how do you answer that effectively?
Give them a real example of when you collaborated on a tough project.
Okay.
Maybe you had to take feedback from the manufacturing team to make your design cheaper to produce.
Right.
Or maybe you worked with a software engineer to integrate a new control system into the engine.
Oh, yeah, good one.
It's about showing them you can listen, compromise, and find solutions that work for everybody.
Yeah.
And don't just focus on the technical stuff. Talk about how you communicate, keep everyone informed, how you run discussions, resolve conflicts. They're not just looking for a brilliant mind. They want someone who can work well with others.
That makes perfect sense. Now let's talk deadlines. RoleCatcher asks, describe a time you had to work under tight deadlines to complete an engine design project.
Oh, yeah. Deadlines are a fact of life in engineering.
Yeah.
Got to be able to handle the pressure, prioritize, deliver on time.
Got to stay cool.
Exactly. This question is all about showing that you can stay calm, organized, focused when the clock is ticking. Again, the STAR method comes in handy here. Pick a situation where you had a tough deadline, explain what you did to stay on track, and show them you can deliver even when things get crazy.
Okay, give me an example, something that really showcases those skills.
All right, imagine this. In a previous role, we had to redesign a critical part for an engine that was already being manufactured. They found a design flaw during testing, and the client was losing money because of delays. We only had 4 weeks to redesign, test, and get it ready for production. So I put together a team, broke the project down into smaller tasks, and created this super detailed schedule. We worked long hours, but I made sure we were all on the same page, constantly communicating, prioritizing the most important tasks. And by being efficient, communicating clearly, and working together, we got that redesign part done on time, met all the performance and safety requirements.
Wow,
Yeah.
It's impressive. You really painted a picture there of someone who can handle pressure, manage a team, and deliver results even when the deadline is looming.
It's all about showcasing your leadership, your organization, and that ability to thrive in high-pressure situations. And again, this is where RoleCatcher's AI feedback is super valuable. You can practice this kind of answer, and the AI will actually analyze how you're pacing yourself, your tone, even your facial expressions, to help you project confidence and competence.
That's amazing. It's like having a virtual interview coach right there with you.
It really is.
Okay, are you ready for a question that's becoming more and more important in engine design?
Definitely.
Okay, so we've covered a lot of ground here.
I have.
Some tough questions. How to approach them.
How to use those answers to really highlight what you bring to the table.
Exactly. And how RoleCatcher's AI can give you that extra boost.
Absolutely.
Now, let's talk about something that's often overlooked when you're prepping for an interview. Researching the company itself.
Ah, yes.
Because it's one thing to know what they do,
Right.
but it's another to really dig into their culture, their values, the projects they're working on right now.
It shows you're not just applying to any engine design job, you're interested in them specifically.
Exactly. So imagine this. You're in the interview, and you casually mention a recent article you read about a new technology they're developing. Or you bring up that you both share a passion for sustainable engineering, something you found while you were checking out their CEO's LinkedIn profile.
That kind of thing, it makes a huge difference.
It does. It shows you've done your homework.
Exactly. It sets you apart from all those other candidates who might just be going through the motions.
So how can we use RoleCatcher to really make the most of this research phase?
Well, their employer database is a goldmine. You can find detailed company profiles, what they do, their products and services, even insights into their company culture.
It's like getting a sneak peek behind the scenes before you even walk in for the interview.
Exactly. And this isn't just for small talk either. You can use this info in your answers to show you understand their challenges, their goals, and how you can help them succeed.
Okay, so let's say you're interviewing with a company that's known for its work on high-performance electric motors.
Okay, perfect example. You could say something like, I'm really impressed with what your company's done with electric motors. You know, that industry-leading power density. I think my experience with thermal management and material science could be a real asset to your team as you keep pushing the boundaries of EV performance.
That's a great way to connect your skills to their goals.
Right. You've shown them that you get what they're all about.
Now, let's talk about another part of interview prep that people often don't spend enough time on. Practice.
Yes. Practice makes perfect, right?
Exactly. But with RoleCatcher, it's more than just rehearsing in front of the mirror.
Oh, so much more. They have this incredible AI-powered video practice feature that's like a real interview simulation.
It's like having a personal interview coach, but without that, awkwardness of staring at someone.
Exactly. So you record yourself answering common interview questions.
Okay.
And then RoleCatcher's AI, it analyzes everything. Your pacing, your tone, your body language, even the words you use.
That's wild.
It is. And then it gives you specific feedback on how to improve your delivery, how to project confidence, how to make a lasting impression.
It's like having a secret weapon.
It really is. And you can practice as much as you need to, fine-tune those responses until you feel totally ready.
So what does this all mean for our listeners out there who are gearing up for an engine designer interview?
It means you're walking in prepared, confident, ready to really showcase what you've got.
You understand the job, you've researched the company, and you've practiced your answers until they're polished and persuasive.
You're ready to go. But there's one last piece of advice we want to leave you with.
Oh, okay. I like it. What's that?
Remember how RoleCatcher talked about the rise of automation, AI, all those changes happening in engineering right now?
Right. The future of engine design is being shaped by all of that.
Exactly. And the best engineers are going to be the ones who embrace those changes.
So as you start your career journey, think about how you can be a part of this evolution.
What unique skills can you bring to the table? What perspectives? What are you passionate about?
Yeah, don't be afraid to ask questions in the interview about the company's vision for the future, their approach to innovation, how they're adapting to these changes.
Those kinds of questions show that you're not just looking for a job, you're looking to make a real impact.
And that makes all the difference.
It does.
Well, there you have it. Our deep dive into acing that engine designer interview. We've given you the insights, the strategies, the tools to succeed.
Now go out there and build those engines that are going to power the future.
Good luck.